Welcome to the pod, where we are going to talk about
our thoughts, stories, and hot takes, but do it all respectfully, of course.
So we're back for a part 2, because we realized last episode that there's far too much for us to talk about. We could talk for hours on this topic. And we didn't want to shortchange that, so we are back for part 2 of bathroom horror stories.
And if you returned to this, like you really...
After watching the last one?
You're the real ones.
You're real.
You really are. And if you made it through the last one, you can make it through this one.
Yeah, you certainly can.
So...
But for those who don't know, quick disclaimer, obviously.
Right. You can't
if you're squirmish about bathroom horror stories of the title of the thing, don't watch. It's okay. We won't hold it against you.
Move on. We are going to kick this off with a story about a fateful time for me in my car. And I don't really know how else to intro it than that. So basically, there was a day, one morning, and I'm ashamed to admit how recently this was. It was within probably the last year of my life. It was a shocker. I've never had anything like that happen to me in my adult years.
That's crazy.
But anyway, it was early in the morning. I was getting ready. I was headed to work, and this was like literally could not have come more out of nowhere because I was feeling good. I was like, I feel totally. I'm all ready for work. I literally like pop open the garage door, I open my car door, and I go to sit down. And as I'm sitting down, it's just a release. And I was like, where did that come from? What on earth? Did I not control myself? There was no warning. There was no ounce of warning. All of a sudden, I just sat. I'm like, I just pooped my pants. I was literally sitting there in absolute shock. I was like, what just happened? What? So I get up and I'm like, I gotta hurt. Now, luckily I was leaving a bit early. I think I was like gonna go get coffee, and I'm like, well, forget that. So I ran back into the house, went to assess the situation, and it wasn't honestly that much, but it was still there. And I literally was like, nope, that is getting thrown away. We are not dealing with that. Just for my sake of feeling better, I think I literally just quickly hopped in the shower, just rinsed off, and then I went on with my day as normal.
Just went on with your day, and you're just like living your life going, nobody has any idea. I literally pooped my pants this morning. Like, what a start to the day.
Yeah.
And as an adult, like, that's so humbling to, like, poop your pants as an adult.
Yeah.
Actually, I just remembered I have a story. I didn't poop my pants, but I peed them. Now get this. It was on my birthday. I feel like it was like my 17th birthday.
Oh.
But do you ever have those dreams?
Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. So you have those dreams where you're like going to, you're just going to the bathroom in your dream, and sometimes you don't know if it's real or not. And so my body was like, release. And I did indeed release, waking up to the feeling of warm, wet. You literally, I just turned 17, and I fully peed my bed because I had a dream about peeing. It was humiliating, and so obviously I didn't tell anyone. First time I've probably spoken about it, but I was like, I need to wash my bedding, I don't even remember what time, if it was like middle of the night or like as I needed to start getting ready, but yeah, it was such a low, and you're like, how do you really settle, like bring all your bedding downstairs, and like, oh, that's so strange, Kayla, you literally never wash your bedding, why now, on your, like, it makes no sense. Yeah, what a start to my birthday. Yeah. I don't remember how the rest of it went, but I feel like that probably set the tone. Like, I feel like that says enough. So I haven't pooped my pants, but I've peed my bed. So I can sort of relate to you in that sense.
Yes. Each their own. Yeah, anyway, that's all we need to talk about for those stories. So now on to what will consume the rest of the
entire episode. That being Honduras. After, we could talk endlessly about Honduras causing issues with your system.
First and foremost, we love Honduras.
Love
Honduras. But it does things to you. In so many ways, it does.
So we should start off with what we call it, because we're going to refer to it a lot in the episode. So we call it Don Yab, The backstory of that is there is a hot sauce that was always available to us during breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I personally only used it once, and I don't feel like that was the cause of my issues.
No, because
But-
I never even tried it,
Yes.
and I still suffered the
But
consequences.
for the first couple days, the people that used that hot sauce, and they used it generously,
Generously.
were like, oh my gosh, you guys, like, I don't want to get too graphic. And honestly, by the end of it, everybody's open about everything.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
there's nothing you can't
Like,
talk about.
they just shared in such detail.
But
with
they
everyone.
really shared a lot.
They did.
And so ever since then, like, it's been referred to as Don Yab. So it's not Don's fault, but
No.
it's just what it
We
is.
just put that on him. Because you gotta have somebody to
for
blame,
sure.
you know?
How in detail do we want to go about Don Yab itself? Listen, let's just say it's not a solid.
It's not. It's
The
far
colors
from-
are crazy. It's, you know, all the colors of the rainbow, you know, it's certainly a surprise every single
Yes.
time. And it's non-controllable because once Don Yab knocks on that door, he isn't waiting for you to
No,
open it.
he will barge through.
Yeah, he'll open that door himself. So it's certainly a time-sensitive issue once he comes. And I wish he'd give us a little warning, a little text of like, hey,
Yeah.
by the way, be there in 20 minutes. But no, it's, once he
you
comes,
have,
he comes.
like 20 seconds.
If even,
If.
yeah, it's like that's Don Yab will cause the realest fear you'll ever experience of like, will I make it or will I not? Every single time, every time. And I will say, I think every time I did
when
make it,
yeah, when it came to
but
Don Yab, he
barely.
always made it, but like you didn't. It
he
was
wants
close.
he wants you to think that you won't, and I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So what are we starting? Should we talk about when we experienced it together because that was such a
I
bonding
do think
moment for
that
us.
one of the most, I think, pivotal points of our friendship, and we've had
We've had a lot.
It was on our second trip to Honduras, and we were pretty far along in the trip.
Yeah.
So we were getting used to Don again.
Yeah.
And we had been out. The thing about Don Yab is there was just something about it that he had a little respect where we never had a problem while we were out on our service
Which
sites.
I will say, you're always afraid you will. Like,
Yeah.
it's like that fear that it's like, this could come at any time. Once it comes, you can't. But like, when you're out throughout the day, you don't have access
You don't.
to a lot of bathrooms, and the ones you do have
So
access to
it's
are-
just all willpower,
Yeah.
I think, that you will not let it happen.
So somehow you, like, I think Lauren had one time where she had to go and we were out and didn't have access, but
But I
besides
just-
that,
Like, you
I
have to
feel
power
like-
through, you know?
he has a little bit of respect for boundaries.
But that being said, because you go for a stretch of, I
Yeah.
don't know, 6-7 hours,
A long time.
when you get back, it's time. And so
It's like he senses the GPS arriving home.
Yeah.
Like your body, he's like, oh my gosh, I recognize this place. Let's go.
So there was a time when we were on the bus and Kayla and I are both going like
It's starting.
It's starting. And
It's
the thing
starting.
that we tried to do, because we had
Oh,
respect
yes.
for our fellow roommates,
Yes.
is you can't flush toilet paper there. Like they don't have good drainage systems. Like you have to put it all in a garbage.
yeah.
It is like an enclosed kind of, but still it's gonna seep through. You know, the odor's
So
not
it's
gonna
like,
stay.
I think most of the girls, I don't think the guys ever did.
No.
But the girls kind of all had this mutual agreement that if we can help it, which you can't always, but if you can, you don't don in your bathroom. You can pee and pee only. Because the other stuff is for the public bathroom, which they did have a public bathroom with 2 stalls that we could use, and that was for the other option. Because, like, when you're if you can't throw away the toilet paper, like, you have to throw it away instead of flush it, like, oh. Anyway, horrible.
So we're on the bus, and it's bumpy too, and it's just
Oh.
like you're feeling. And I was like, Kayla, like it's in me, like, and and you're like, yeah.
No, I was
Same.
like, I can't hold it. Like, I have to go.
So we get back, we get off the bus, we are sprinting to get to those bathrooms, and we came to this like.
We just had an acceptance.
We
of,
just
like,
knew what was going to happen, and there was nothing
Yeah.
we could do about it. And we entered that bathroom, and we got in
our neighboring
stalls, and we literally sat down. And as it was happening, I just remember a moment where I literally was like, "Kayla, I'm so sorry for what you were about to like hear."
We both
We
were
were
like
about to witness.
consoling the others. We were like, I'm so sorry. I'm like,
Or like,
you're
it's
good.
okay,
Like,
it's gotta
we
happen.
were like, we're in this together.
And
we're like consoling each
There
other.
is nothing more humbling or bonding than Don yabbing with your friends.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't want to get too graphic, but it's like the sound is just like, it's apparent.
Distinct. Yeah.
It's distinct, and it's like, there's something about suffering together that was like both horrendous and also so like bonding at the same time.
And we finished up and we walked out and we were like,
yeah. Like that was pretty much
you're
it.
speechless at that point, you know?
Yeah, but it's like, you do have a shared respect for each other, you know?
You
Like,
do.
like
There's
could
no
never judge you
judgment
for that.
No.
And so we washed up and we headed back, parted our ways for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it certainly was a bonding point.
It was, and yeah, I think that's probably going to be one of our top stories there.
For sure.
What else do we have?
There were a lot of instances there, some back home, but for the most part in Honduras, where you go to the bathroom and there isn't toilet paper. Like that's
Unfortunately,
a frequent problem. And the first time we went, I realized that because I had multiple instances where I'm going to the bathroom in a gas station or like different places at the Mission, all these places where it's like, oh, there's no toilet paper. Like, what on earth do you do when there's no toilet paper? I don't even know. And sometimes what's even worse is when there's nobody else around. So I will say the second time, in my little fanny pack, I did have a couple napkins or a couple wipes just in case I was prepared. However, I can't say I was always prepared. And whenever I happen to go to the bathroom with no toilet paper, happens to be the one time I don't leave my phone with me. Or in Honduras, when you have no internet, no way to contact literally anyone.
You're done for. Like, you just have to wait for someone to realize you're missing.
Yes. So there's certainly, I've had a lot of those experiences. I don't know about you, but there's one specific one in Honduras that was bad. Like, it was bad. So I went, and it was dawn for sure. It wasn't just a little tinkle, you know. It was all the above, if I will. Mm-hmm. There was nobody next to me in that stall, and that was the only time I've ever wished someone else would be in the bathroom with me.
Yeah,
I didn't have my phone. I have no way to contact
normally, like Kayla and my experience, that was a whole separate thing. Normally, you're praying there is nobody else in there.
Because it's such a like vulnerable moment that you're like, I don't want anyone else to be a part of this.
Yeah,
like to have to experience it. I waited there, mortified. I was like, I know I should check, but here's the thing is when Dawn's coming, you don't have time to check. Is there toilet paper?
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna go in your pants then. So I just went without thinking. I'm trapped in this bathroom stall going, who's gonna come in? So I'm waiting. I'm like, we have so many people here. There's gotta be someone who's gonna come in the bathroom at some point. I waited there for, I swear it was like 20 minutes. I didn't have my phone, so I don't honestly know the time, but that felt like an eternity. And I just waited. And I waited to hear someone outside, because if I heard a female voice, I would have pounced on that. I would have been like, help me, help. But I only heard male voices. And I couldn't do that. I was at a low, but I wasn't that desperate. Like, I honestly don't think I could get that desperate. So I honestly feel like I blocked it out of my memory because I don't know what I did. I think because there was nobody else, I just had to go, you know what? I accept this. And quickly...
That's jarring.
That's
jarring.
Went from this stall, went whoop to the other stall real fast. Luckily that one had toilet paper. But, like, I think I literally had to... And I don't even know if I, like... left myself unexposed or like just let the poop get there, you know? So I don't know what I did, and it's probably for the best.
Yeah.
And I remember coming back into the room and just being like, I feel so betrayed. And I had a whole talk with everyone in my room, and I think everyone was in there, right? It wasn't just my roommates.
I mean, to be fair, I was not one of your roommates at the time, so I couldn't be blamed for that. Like, I didn't know she was missing, you know?
But I literally came back into the room and was like, you guys, if somebody leaves and is gone for a suspicious amount of time, check on them. I was like, you don't know what they're experiencing. All you had to do was go in and say, hey, just checking up on you. It's been a little while. We just want to make sure, like, is there anything I can do for you? Like, please check on me. So I had quite a serious talk. I was angry. I was at a really low moment. So anyway, I don't know that ever happened again or that anyone needed to be checked on, but pay attention to your friends. Pay attention to when they leave and when they don't come back.
I don't think I ever really ran into that problem except the one time at the airport when we were leaving. And of course, like, I left my phone with everybody else. I didn't have my phone. And I went, again, you don't have time to check. So I, like, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, there's no toilet paper here. This is a this is a bit of a pickle for me. And there were other people in the bathroom, but I have no clue if they speak English. Like, I'm not in America. Like, so I just took my chances and I was like, it's so, again, and something else that's embarrassing for no reason. It's like when you're in the bathroom, there's no toilet paper, you have to like ask someone.
Oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. So like, if someone were to ask me, it'd be like 1,000%, let me give you some. Side note, when you have to ask someone for toilet paper, it's already low, it's already vulnerable, and then they give you like 3 squares. Like, it's not your toilet paper you're conserving. Like, this isn't your budget. Give me a good wad. Like, give me a good handful, because you don't know what I'm dealing with on my side. You know? Like, I'd rather have too much than too little, but you can't ask them a second time.
No,
Be like, actually, would you pass me a little more?
So I just like, I took the risk and I was like, I don't have any toilet paper in here. And luckily, bless her, there was a lady next door who spoke English and was like, oh, I got you. And I mean, I maybe, if it was up to me, I maybe would have had a little bit more. But also, like, I think she understood and she did give me a decent amount. And it was enough to work with and I was rescued. But yeah, it's just a very vulnerable feeling to just feel so trapped.
Yes. What else is a really low moment is when, like, I constantly fear this. What if the toilet doesn't flush? What if it doesn't flush?
That is a big
and it's like, in general, like, oh, you peed, it's not flushing, that's embarrassing. But like, pooping is next level. Dawn yabbing is the top tier level.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was a time or two where you had a little scare and it took a couple attempts of like, flush it. It's not going. Give it a little time. Flush it again. Okay, like maybe. But like, their just water system and toilet system isn't fantastic. And so that fear is certainly possible, and it happens.
And it did happen to our dear Elena.
I like was traumatized.
Elena, I hope you don't mind us calling you out here, but
so what happened was she ran to the bathroom, so we could tell it was desperate. She didn't come back for a while. We realized that the water was out. You know, showers weren't working, whatever. We totally forgot about our poor girl stuck in the bathroom. She comes out and she's like, guys, the toilet won't flush. She's like, I can't wash my hands. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but also get away from me. Like, go find some hand sanitizer before you speak to me. Like, But yeah, she was exposed and the toilet wouldn't flush. And so I don't know how that all went down. And honestly, I
just remember at one point in the night, like, it was a while later, the water finally, as soon as she heard that the water was dripping, she bolted to get that taken care of.
Yeah, and it's like, I think people knew, but no one thought to, like, let everyone know. And we could have saved her from a whole lot of fear and a whole lot of trauma.
I mean, what else was she supposed to do, though? Like, she didn't have
that's really
she didn't have any other options. It was just, she would have been prepared for the consequences of.
Yeah, she had no other option, I guess. But yeah, still wasn't fantastic. Also, speaking of which, like, can we talk about the one bathroom where, like, not all bathrooms even have a flushable toilet down there? So there's, I don't know, did you ever use that bathroom?
I never used it.
So Lauren never used this bathroom. I don't know how. But our first Honduras trip, in the, like, neighborhood we were in, there were no bathrooms available, except if you walk down a while, there's, like, this little snack store thing that you could buy snacks at. And we made a deal with the owner of, like, we'll buy snacks from you if you let us use your bathroom. And it was like it was a fair trade, you know, so we'd buy snacks and drinks and stuff, benefiting her business, and she would allow us to use her bathroom. So it's like, if one person's going, they're like, hey, anybody else, let's get this, you know, done with. So you have a line of people that are all going to use this bathroom.
It's basically like a porta potty.
The water is limited. So it's like, you don't flush after every person. No. Every person goes. This is actually where my fear of being on my period, like, in Honduras came from. Because I was like, if I'm on my period, using a toilet like that, and there are people behind me, they're going to see blood in the toilet. And that's horrendous. So that's why I was like, I need to figure out how to use a disc or cup, because that can't happen. Yeah. Luckily, that situation never ended up playing out, and I never had to worry about that. But anyway, everybody goes. Luckily, I don't think Dawn was ever an issue for when I had gone with other people. And then at the very end, you take a little, like, small bucket of water and just dump water down, and then the water kind of, like, gravity flushes the toilet a little bit. And that's, like, it was certainly an interesting feeling. And, like, the door didn't even shut all the way. You just had to trust that, like, there was a crack in it. It was, like, it was certainly a low. It was a fearful time.
Yeah. One more thing to mention, and I literally, as I am saying all this stuff, I'm like, I don't know why we are doing this to ourselves and
No, but
putting this out.
You're so brave. I like respect you and admire you.
So I'm not gonna name names. She didn't ask for this, so I'm just gonna keep it anonymous. But if you're watching, you know who you are.
So girl, we'll just
a girl.
Yeah.
And I, one night, like we were both just severely suffering for the first couple days of this trip.
Yeah.
We were just having problems, and I don't even know if we had even gotten to shower by this point because I think the water was broken at the time. So we are really just we're feeling it. And everybody else was gonna go get ice cream. And we were both just like, the thought of ice cream makes us feel even more horrid. And I'm like, I feel so gross, like internally, exteriorly, what's that word?
Externally.
Externally. I'm like, everything inside me, I can't go. And
Which
so
I will say, you guys were almost like guilted about a little
I know.
bit.
They were like, you're really not gonna come. Sorry.
But honestly, like, it just looked like it kind of looked like you guys just didn't really want to go. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't really want to get ice cream, and we're like, well, come along for, like, the experience. Like,
but
to
we
be with
were
other
both
people.
like, we can't leave the
didn't know
premises.
what you were going through on our defense.
Yeah, it was just things were not doing well inside, and we were like, we cannot go. Like, we can't. And so we literally were like, we can't even sit in our room. It was like so hot. We just were like sitting outside on the concrete floor outside of our room. And we're literally, I'm sitting against the wall, you know, kind of like this, you know, right? And I almost just said her name. The other girl is literally laying on the ground in front of me.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm telling this story so poorly.
That's okay. I think the story will speak for
But
itself.
anyway, so we're sitting there. We're just having a little chat about who knows what. Because at this state, we were like trying to just distract ourselves, whatever. And all of a sudden, I was sitting there and I was like, I keep almost wanting to say her name. I'm like, so and so.
Yeah.
It's coming. Like, respectfully, of course. Like, you might want to sit up because, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to like get up in time. And she was literally laying there, and she's like, just let it flow. And he was like, ah!
How low of a point do you have
And
to
I
reach to say,
literally-
let it go?
I was sitting there like trying to muster up the strength to stand, but I'm like, how am I gonna get up in time? But I was also like, again, I'm low, but I am not that low, and I am not about to poop on the floor and risk it coming for you. I was like, I will not. So I mustered up everything I had inside of me to keep that back, and I did. And then I managed to get up and kindly remove myself to the bathroom. But I was literally just sitting there like, is this what we have come to? That we are so, that we would even consider, I mean, I did not, I don't know that I considered it. It was more
But for her to just be like, just let it go.
And I mean, I was kind of at a point where I was like, I mean, I can't make any promises to you, but I'm gonna do my best to not let that
feel like
happen.
emotionally and physically though, you guys were just at a really weak point.
Yeah.
Where there just wasn't much you could do.
No.
Yeah. So that was certainly, when we got back and we heard that story, all of our little like pettiness about you guys not coming did go away.
It did.
And we're like, oh, okay, well, we're glad we went and we're glad you stayed.
Yes.
So it was like mutual respect.
Yeah, and
For
so while
sure.
they were all out, you know, having an ice cream cone, we were...
Oh, but...
Oh,
so while we're out having ice cream, here's the thing, is like, it's not just Dom, but sometimes you have, you know, you're a little gassy, you know? Sometimes it smells bad. Okay, so we're in this little ice cream shop here, all getting ice cream, and all of a sudden I smelled something horrendous. I was fully, my gag reflex was ready to set off, and I was like, who did that? I was like, guys, somebody needs to fess up to that. Who did that? Like, if you need to let it out, totally understand. Take a step outside. It's like such a small shop. It's 2 steps to get to the door. Step outside and relieve yourself. No, none of the guys were admitting to it. And I was like targeting them. I was like, it had to be you. It had to be you. No one was fessing up to it. And I was like, you guys, like, isn't fart something you guys are proud of or something? Like, I was letting off because it was so bad. Later, the person who was responsible did fess up.
Wait, I'm between 2 people. I can't remember which one it was. I
I honestly have never been more shocked in my life. I I was shocked, I was angry, I was processed, because this was far after the fact. And she's like, I have something to tell you, I have something to confess. And she told me that, and I was like, I went rabid on everybody else, like pointing fingers. I was like, who? Just fess up. And honestly, no wonder she didn't with my reaction, but you weren't there to know how bad that was.
We were fighting battles of our own that night.
Because typically, like, the guys on the bus would, like, let one rip, and then they'd, like, laugh about it and brag about it, and it was, like, something to be proud of. So I was like, guys, like, just tell me who did it. Anyway, that was certainly an interesting one. So I feel like that's gonna be it for our in Honduras stories. I feel like there's countless more.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's certainly other people's experiences, but we're gonna close that chapter. But still on the topic of Honduras, talk about how it affected us after the fact.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about your day after? Your,
I
like,
would.
literal day of hell?
Yeah, that is a way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
So upon returning from the trip, your body is just still, it's changed for a long time after. But this day in particular was one that was burned into my brain, I think forever, honestly. And it wasn't even like the day after we got back. It was like probably I think it was like 4 days after we got back home. And it was a Sunday, so I got up and I was like, gonna try to get ready for church. But I woke up and I was like, I feel so sick. Like, I just felt so sickly. And it was not even my typical, like, nauseous vomiting. It was Dawn not letting go, And so I literally, like, I don't need to drag this out. I will just tell you that I think for about 12 hours straight, I'm not even kidding. Like, I think for about 12 hours straight, every 10 to 15 minutes, I was making a trip to the bathroom, and it was happening.
Because also, you aren't typically someone who eats a lot, so there's nothing much in your system
I,
to
like,
begin
could
with.
not even eat
so
that
it's like,
day.
how is it possible that there was that much to come out when you, like, didn't have anything in there to begin with?
Yeah. And I mean, it was like, there were times where it wasn't even a lot, but it was still there. And it was like, where I thought it was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I kid you not, like, I swear to God, 10 to 15 minutes.
That's crazy.
Like,
An entire day.
An entire day. And I was like, this is absolute misery. And I don't know, I've never known anything like Don Yab.
Yeah. He's certainly a character. So you kind of mentioned how Don, what happens to Honduras doesn't stay in Honduras, unfortunately, and Don comes back with
He gets attached,
He really does, and he doesn't know when to let go. And I feel like our first trip, I remember coming back being a little shocked at how long it lasted.
But
it was a little while.
It was not
But it was like, it was annoying, and it was a little bit, but it wasn't nearly as bad as this last trip. For months and months, I literally thought my system was permanently red. We're literally like, do we have some sort of, like, bacteria?
Yeah, I'm like, I must have a parasite or something.
Yeah, literally. I don't know how he stays as long as he does, because I'm like, listen, Honduras is over. That was a long time ago. I get your body needs a little time to adjust to being back, but it's like, I felt like it was going to be a permanent change.
And it didn't affect everyone like that. Like, my mom went, and she was like, are you, like, actually okay? Like, is there, and I'm like, it's not just me, though.
But
like,
only, like, what made us feel better is, like, the fact that we shared it. Like, multiple people did have the experience. So while not everyone did, you're certainly at risk for being one of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So something about it is, like, for example, where I work, the bathroom isn't close. It's a ways away. And it's like, when you have to go, you have to go. I would have to, like, you can't sprint. Like, I work in a retail store. I work at Shield. So it's like, I'm trying to really subtly speed walk to the bathroom while I am clenching. And I have people stopping me being like, excuse me, where are the women's socks? Where's that? I'm like, I don't know. I literally just work here and not even here, so go find somebody else. Because they're innocently asking me something, not knowing that I'm a millisecond away from pooping my pants, like diarrhea-ing my pants. And also, it's like, you're in a public bathroom with many stalls. Like, not every single time are you the only one in there. And it's not quiet. It's not settled. And it's so embarrassing. And you hope that nobody else walks out at the same time as you and, like, connects the dots. Like, no one connects the dots.
Oh, yeah.
But even, like, at home, it's like that. Like, it fully felt like we were in Honduras. And we just, like, here and there message each other and be like, guys, I had a flashback to Honduras. Like, I fully went through it today. And it's, like, still, I feel like, I don't remember this being an issue before Honduras, but it certainly is now, that just in general, once I have to go to the bathroom, I have to go. And it's kind of like, Dawn, even, like, when you have to pee is, like, when I get back to the apartment, all of a sudden, it's like, it's time. And I fully am, like, sprinting to my bathroom, barely get there in time to, like, it's crazy. Like, the way the timing of it works. And, like, once you have to go, like, you would think it takes time to process. You'd start to, like, slowly go, okay, I need to go soon. I need to, you know, figure that timing out. And it's just, it's never convenient. Like, it's certainly a terrifying feeling.
It really is. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it.
Yeah, it's like, Honduras is worth the sacrifice.
It definitely
but
is.
it certainly comes with its cons.
It does.
Yeah.
But I mean, you leave that trip, and the people that you're with, you are just bonded with in a whole new level.
It's such a special way that it's like you don't bond with a lot of people in that way.
No.
But it's just like, I love that there's no limits to the experiences we share and talk about. And sometimes it's not for everyone. But I'll tell you what, it's for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd go again. Wow.
Anyway. We're so bad at closing these out.
We still have to get our
we don't have an outro yet. We gotta figure that out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So to finish it off, peace out.
Peace out, Girl Scout.